Okay, so it looks like Netflix is going to buy Warner Brothers, and a lot of creative people are upset. So I just want to use this video to look back on a nicer, more beautiful time in Hollywood. I think there's good things to be learned, but if nothing else, let's just look back in time. So like 75 years ago, so 1930s, early 1940s, Hollywood was a different place than what it is now. It was a pretty cool situation. It was called the studio system, and what happened was every studio, there were about five, had total control over the whole process of making a movie, from making the movie to getting people to watch it in their theaters. They owned the whole thing. It was a sweet deal, vertical integration, all those cool Silicon Valley words that would be later invented. It was a sweet deal. If you were an audience member, it was pretty sweet because if you liked Paramount movies, you just had to live in a city where Paramount owned the theaters, and then you could watch the Paramount movies, assuming Paramount would want to put their movies into their theaters, and sometimes they didn't, but it's pretty sweet. So you had your team. You had your Paramount, you had your Warner Brothers, you had your et cetera, et cetera. And if you were just in the wrong city for the movies you wanted to watch, you just had to move. No big deal. Not a problem. So, and it was especially good for people working in the entertainment industry because you couldn't work for other places. You only had one boss. It was really simple. It was simplified, and it was like a sweet deal because you had these big long contracts if you were an actor or director, and if you were working at Warner Brothers, you couldn't go to Paramount or MGM or whoever because you were a Paramount actor. It's not. You can't if you decided you wanted to start doing dramas and you were a comedy person. Your boss knows better, and it's just like makes sense that your boss knows better, and so, and if you got a little lippy, because obviously if you're the actor or the director or the writer, you're not the product. The movie's the product. So if you're getting lippy, your boss can just tell you you're not going to work, and that's it. That's just the end of the conversation. It was a pretty sweet deal. I gotta say, it was a pretty sweet deal. So we had studios making whatever they want, making sure they gave audiences whatever the studios wanted, and making sure that everybody working for the studios did what the studios wanted. It was like a perfect system. It was perfect until 1942 came around. There was a war happening. That's not what I'm talking about here, but it was this pesky thing called the Sherman Antitrust Act, and it was this big government coming in, ruining everything, and basically saying that it's unfair that a studio would have total control of the whole thing, all the way to making sure people can't see the movies. I mean, they, if they existed 75 years in the future, you could say these studios had the right to just throw away movies and never show them to people after they made them because they were theirs, and they were the ones putting them out there. And so this stupid, annoying, like liberal, but also conservative, because nothing makes sense. Sherman antitrust laws came into effect and basically broke up the studios, made the studios sell off a chunk of their business so that they didn't have a monopoly, which is just a crazy way of saying efficiency. And so they decided that the thing that was going to cost them the least amount of money, the studios, to ditch, was movie theaters. So all of a sudden, any movie theater could show any movie, no big deal. You didn't have it locked down. If you lived in Detroit, now you could watch something from Paramount instead of just watching, I want to say, MGM. So, it's pesky. The whole thing was pesky, and it was real messy, and it was a lot of paperwork, and it was kind of annoying because all of a sudden, actors, writers, producers, just creatives in general, had this opportunity to, be their own boss instead of having to work for a boss who knows better. And in doing so, an entirely new golden age of Hollywood, came out with new directors that we can name today: Spielberg, Lucas, the other great ones, Coppola. All these incredible directors came out of the stupid Sherman antitrust thing, which basically ruined Hollywood. It's just not fair, and so I'm grateful this time that it looks like the companies are going to get what they deserve, which is, total and absolute control over every part of the movie making process once again, so that they can get it right. It only took 75 years, so they're going to get it right this time. They're going to make sure that they know what the audience wants, and they can decide whether or not the audience is going to get it, and they're going to decide what price, and ignoring the audience wishes, because they're cattle. The filmmakers, the creatives, the actors, they're cattle. At the end of the day, big business is big business for a reason, and I'm just glad that after 75 years of Hollywood making just these crazy mistakes and culminating with the Sherman antitrust law, that we can be in a situation now where we don't have to worry about that. And maybe this is a jumping off point. Maybe once Netflix acquires Warner Brothers, Netflix can go ahead and grab the rest of them, and we can have just one boss. Because that would be great. Because as a working, freelance entertainment film person myself, it's so chaotic to try to navigate my career when I could just sign a contract with a faceless company that controls absolutely everything and basically guarantees that if they don't like me or if they don't care, they don't have to use me, but I can't do anything. So that's the spirit of Hollywood that I think we're entering into. So facetious much, yes. Sherman antitrust laws. What a time. It's insane. It's insane, and hopefully something will happen that will cause either this merger not to go through or to antitrust laws to come back and actually break up what is becoming the studio system again, which is, now it's streamers controlling basically the means of production and the means of distribution at the same time, and basically holding us all hostage. Because if there's one thing we know about internet companies, it's that the most inconvenient thing about an internet company is the fact that they have to use people for any part of it at all. So I think unless something changes, they're going to just continue taking people out. I got to be honest. I got into this industry because I like people and I like telling stories and I like experiencing stories. And so I don't think a internet company has the same priorities that I do when it comes to the love of the game and the love of storytelling. So I'm open to be proven wrong, but, I'd rather just have a Sherman antitrust law situation once again. So that's what it is. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you next time.